Hi. Who is that? Oh, okay. Here, let me put some light on. It's not all shadowy. Oh, come on, light. What's going on? Oh, you mean this is not? Oh, Dean, he blew the fuse. I thought I fixed it. And it's just my battery, I guess, on my laptop that's running. Yeah, he blew this fuse. He's just, I don't know, Dean. He's just doing some strange things, lately in recent times. Just doing all these, putting all these extension cords together and plugging it into the wall. For what purpose, I don't know. I've told him that modern day electronics, you can't do that. And he blew the fuse. And I thought I fuse, I don't know if that's the proper term, broke. I have a breaker box up here. Yeah, and I thought I reset it over here, but I hope he didn't do any serious damage with our electrical up here. I unplugged it, but I don't know. So I guess I'm not going to have a light. I just have the daylight outside. I'm a little dreary. And it's kind of fitting. It matches my mood. I have been really, I don't know. I was going to like live stream everything that's going on with Putin and Trump. I got up, I was up early and didn't think that it was going to start so early today. I mean, I get up early every day, but Trump was already flying there at 7 something this morning. And anyway, I just caught a glimpse of them walking near a plane. I don't know what that is. I'm going to be sharing my screen here. I haven't checked the news. I know nothing. I've been just laying down. I watched a movie. Both Dean and I are really, really depressed about our life. I mean, we have $50 to spend. We're going to go get an ice cream cone after this because there's a really nice ice cream place. And we're going to get some cat food. And if we can, maybe a smaller bag of dog food so it's not as expensive. And then I think we'll be wiped out completely and we'll be forced to go to the food bank. Because I promised the deputy mayor that I would fix our truck. I know she's willing to work with us, and I'm sure if I called her or if I emailed her, she'd be cool. But she expected us to get it done by the end of the month. And I wanted to, maybe I just need to talk to her, huh? Okay, let's turn on the news. I haven't watched the news at all. Here, let me share my screen.
Right, to be communicating for you. You don't want to rely on your on the foreign leader's interpreter, but you also want to have another pair of eyes in the room to witness what took place. That's all by design, and other presidents have followed that. In that moment, this president did not.
And then, of course, in November 2017, so shortly thereafter, was the APEC forum in Da Nang, Vietnam. There was no formal meeting scheduled, but President Trump and Putin met anyway. And afterwards, President Trump told reporters that Putin had told him that Russia did not interfere at all in the 2016 election. And he said, he means it, President Trump said.
That was really when started the pattern of every single time Trump would talk about Putin, he would talk as though he trusted everything he said. And it really started here when he said that he believed it, he means it when he said it. And then, of course, there was Helsinki, which is where he stood up next to Putin for the next meeting and again seemed to say that Putin and Russia had not interfered with the election in 2016.
And the context is so important because, A, while Putin had invaded and seized Crimea and there was this kind of like low-grade war going on in eastern Ukraine, Putin had not yet done the full-scale attack on Ukraine that he did in 2022. And also the backdrop of the Russia investigation, the Mueller investigation, questions of Russian interference, all that. There was such a backdrop and such a distraction for President Trump during his entire first term was omnipresent.
And keep in mind that now this administration is investigating those officials involved in investigating Russian interference in the 2016 election, alleging that was somehow a deep state plot to undermine President Trump's presidency at the time. That's an active investigation.
And whatever happened, it certainly was a tremendous distraction for him in terms of his ability to get things done. And there were investigations after investigations and hearings. Anyway, so this context is different. This context is different. Then, of course, came the big Helsinki. This is the third meeting between Trump and Putin that I'm talking about. in July 2018. That's the big Helsinki, Finland. They talked for 2 hours. They only had their interpreters there. And again, President Trump came forward and said, that Putin denied being involved. And then there's this question about, I don't know why whether Trump said, I don't know why he would have lied about it, or I don't know why he wouldn't have lied about it, or whatever he said exactly. And this but he seemed to side with Putin over his own intelligence briefers. That's what it seemed like.
And took enormous flack from Republicans as well for that moment.
Here's the spray that happened moments ago at Joint Base Elmendorf. Let's listen if we can. All right, we don't really seem to have much audio, but there you can see the Russians on the left side of the screen. There's Putin in the middle with President Trump. And on the right side, if the camera pans back, you'll see Steve Witkoff, who is President Trump's special envoy, who's been going to hotspots all over the world, including Russia, including helping to negotiate Americans detained improperly, unfairly, unjustly in Russia, getting them home. And then Marco Rubio, who is the Secretary of State and also National Security Advisor. The next meeting is really not much of one. It's November 2018. This is the fourth meeting that they had. It's Paris, France. They shook hands at a World War I commemoration. November.
Okay, so there you go. I thought they would already have met all day. Because, 7 a.m., Trump was boarding his Air Force One. I thought that was really, really early. And I was like, oh, it's beginning already. And yeah, I could just live stream the whole thing all day. But no, I'm glad I didn't. They just were meeting just moments ago. And I guess there's nobody in the room with them or something. Yeah. I don't know. I do think that, I look at, both of them are my genetic fathers. I don't think I look anything like Trump, but I do think I look a little like Putin. I have the long nose thing going on, high forehead. Little bit, pronounced brow. I don't know if he has pronounced brow, but it just seems like he has I don't know, maybe when he was younger. And I talk like Trump, the way I talk. I'm just gonna keep talk. I could keep talking on and on and on and on. I take after him that way, I guess. Hopefully what I say makes more sense than what he says. Well, I know that the reason there's nobody in the room or whatever, if that's what I heard, I think I did. It's because I'm a big subject of, I know, yeah, it's always about you, Claire. Yeah, I know it's true. It's true. There's something going on. There's something going on. And the fact that he's meeting him on the same week he occupied DC is significant. Something happened on Monday, the 11th of August. I believe that everybody gave this, signed off on me, declassifying me, except for Trump. And Putin, I really do know. I was part of this and understand the planning behind his behavior. We entrusted a lot of money to Putin. That's why he has so much money. It's my money. And we trusted him more than we entrusted our own government. Okay, because Putin, he's old school. I know everybody says what a terrible person he is and everything. Yeah, he's been trained to, what is it, KGB, whatever it is, the equivalent of the CIA. CIA, nothing's worse than CIA. Okay, let's just be clear. The CIA likes to accuse the Russian KGB, is it called, of being worse or whatever. And he's like one of these master agents, or at least he came up through the ranks and to be who he is today. And he's really good at what he does, right? Something like that. Yeah. So it's like the CIA equivalent over in Russia. Same thing, and Trump is the same thing. Everybody thinks he's some businessman, but he's always been part of the CIA, always has. And and he thinks he's so sly. He's a clown. We all know him to be a clown, and other people play him like a puppet, and that's all he is. He's just a puppet for everybody else, and he's not some master CIA agent operative or anything like that. Even if he is in the CIA, he's not a master in any way, shape, or form. He's, he talks about having such a high IQ. He does not have a high IQ. Maybe he's got like something. He's got like a charisma thing. He's the alpha male bullshit, alpha male, that's a genetic thing. But he's not, he's a criminal. He's retarded. He does not have a high IQ. And, he's my IQ is not passed along by the father. So, even though he's one of my many, many genetic fathers, I didn't get any IQ from any one of my fathers, okay, including him. Thank God, because his IQ is very low. You can't be a doofus like that and have a high IQ. I know people probably think I'm a doofus. Maybe. But he doesn't think he's a doofus. Okay. I'm very aware of how I'm perceived, and I hate playing this role. I hate being a clown. I've been given no other role to play. It's like I'm stuck playing this stupid role that I hate. Trump, he thinks he's like the most brilliant person in the universe and that everybody worships him like God. And, he just tells himself what he wants to think. And that's reality for him. He's obviously got some real serious mental issues, and let's just leave it at that. And low IQ, he's got a little, I don't know, he's got charisma or something. He got that. And that, I think, is that EQ? I think it's more EQ. I don't know, but he has his father did not have a lot of that, did he? I don't know. He must have, I don't know where he got that from. Well, actually, my grandma, he's also my brother. My grandma is my only mother, and I guess she is his genetic mother. And she had a lot of charismatic children. So maybe it is the IQ that makes charisma, or maybe IQ is one component of EQ. I mean charisma. Excuse me. Because Marilyn Monroe is my sister. Elvis was my brother, and Trump. He's so proud to be Elvis's brother. He thinks he's like Elvis himself. He's not. He just got a little dose of it. Elvis was oozing that stuff, and so was Marilyn. I don't know. I don't know what you would consider me to. I mean, I have something, but I can ooze if I want to. I guess I could. Maybe when I was younger and was really into, being like that. Now that I'm older, I'm tired. I'm angry. I'm just tired of this shit. I'm just tired of it. So, All right. He didn't capture a lot of my grandma's IQ. I'm sorry. I don't know. I guess I'm not speaking very well today. Trump, he didn't get a lot of my grandma's IQ. She was totally different from him. She would have been thoroughly disgusted by Trump. Okay. Thoroughly disgusted. And she didn't know him. I don't even know if she knew she was related to him. I mean, obviously she was alive until 1982. He was around. She would have seen him in the news possibly, and she had friends in high places clearly, and she probably knew about it, but she didn't like him. She did not like him, and she never met him. Nothing. He was not in our family. I assure you, he's not part of our family, and he's not part of the lineage. And anyway, it's a female lineage. But what Trump is trying to do, without anybody in the room with Putin, is get my money. And Putin won't give it to him. And what he'll say, he doesn't want to make a deal. Yeah. He won't go into what kind of deal he's looking for. He's not looking for, yes, he would love to get a Nobel Peace Prize, but he has no interest in peace. The peace that Trump understands is just the war stopping and and him taking credit, and Ukraine giving Putin the land, letting him keep the land he occupies, which is ridiculous. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Set him up to, he'll take more land eventually. I heard that Trump said, I guess it was yesterday or was it this morning? He was saying, if I wasn't, Trump, Putin, sorry, I'm misspeaking today. Putin wanted to take all of Ukraine, he said, and if I wasn't president, he would have. Yeah, under Biden, he had taken all of Ukraine. Biden was president for most of the time that this war has been going on, and Putin did not take all of Ukraine. And believe me, I think he would have if he could have, but Ukraine didn't allow that to happen. You got to give Ukraine credit for that, and I don't think Trump really does. He doesn't acknowledge how powerful and mighty Ukraine is to have held its own like this, a little country like that. What heart, what determination for a nation like that. That is awesome. That is more powerful than anything out of all of this. And to think, Russia is a much bigger nation, has a much bigger military, has more money, all that. And Ukraine beat them down, didn't they? I don't know why Trump is talking about how, Putin could have taken the whole country, and if I wasn't president, he would have. He just makes me sick. I'm just so tired of this. I don't know why my people are putting me in this position. I don't know why they're letting my two genetic fathers, who are just two of many, many genetic fathers, some who are no longer alive, some who are and are many times, like Clint Eastwood is still alive. He's many, many times over my genetic father. Okay. Trump won my genetic father one time over. Putin one time over, as far as I know. But Daddy, Clint Eastwood, I don't know how many times over. He's my father. Like, my grandmother, my grandma Flanagan, Margaret Illig Flanagan, she was a genius, okay? And she had a lot of IQ, and you couldn't capture it with one man. One man, the men pass on the EQ, and the EQ captures the IQ, and they work together, right? And that's why I needed so many fathers to capture all her IQ. And then once it's in me, it develops, like even my twin and I, okay, my twin was damaged and, in utero. And so was my triplet brother, who I believe is our full brother as well. Their brains were damaged. They were all savants. I'm the only savant that I guess we know of who has no disability. I'm very, we would have been geniuses, but we're more advanced than that. And my twin and my triplet brother are more advanced in certain areas, but they're retarded. Let's be honest, retarded in other areas. Other parts of their brain are underdeveloped or non-existent, perhaps. And that's why my twin and I are so different. We're not even twins anymore. And, she certainly doesn't act like my twin. She acts nothing like me. And I know she thinks she's somehow superior to me because she's a narcissist. Everything revolves around her. She was coddled from the time she was a baby. She was adopted by relatives. She was sick at birth and they coddled her. They had to take, when you're a sick infant, that's what happens. You're coddled. And then they took, when my full brother Greg was born, they put him to live with her because she didn't do well without me, her identical twin. So Greg had to be the stand-in identical twin. And I know that was not a very good life growing up with my twin. She's very powerful, but she's so draining for everybody all around her. She destroys everyone. Everybody has to get in line behind her or there's hell to pay. I mean, I don't even know her. I've never even met her. And I know this from all of the indirect exposure I've had to her to understand. And thank goodness I didn't grow up with her. Thank goodness, because my life would have been very different. I guess I should be really grateful for that, because I was allowed to grow into I was tortured, but at least I became me, and not some person managing my twin, some person who had to work around my twin because she has to be the center of everything. And I'd have to adapt to that and be the supplement to my twin. You know what I'm saying? It would ruin me because I'm very empathic. I care, and I bend over backwards to help manage people and help them. That's my nature. And that would have ruined me to have her right in the middle of my life like that. So I'm really glad I don't know her. And I don't know. I'll be okay if I never meet her. I would like to meet her out of curiosity. I really would. Would like to see her up close and personal. I've seen her across a room at this point. In Augusta, I was able to see her for the first time across the room. I'm nearsighted, so I can't see details, but I was able to observe her and know she was my twin. And I was observing her in conversation, noticing how much she resembled and acted like my ex-boyfriend, Robin. I shouldn't say his full name. I forgot. I shouldn't do that. It's a live stream. But she reminds me so much of that ex-boyfriend of mine. And that's because that was her in another body when she was 15 years old. That's what I was told. And I had no idea when I was going out with him that he was her in another body, when she was 15 years old. But yeah, she was acting just like him too. And that's how I knew I positively identified her at a Chick-fil-A, and she used to, as that guy, my ex-boyfriend, he used to get offended when somebody called him a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's exactly how she acts. She's like this wolf, like zeroing in on her prey, a young woman. She's a lesbian, obviously. This young girl, she's talking to her, and very attractive young girl. Oh, just right down my twin's alley. Yeah. And you could see her working it and manipulating this young thing. It was disgusting. She's a married woman. But whatever job, she works in the CIA. I know she does. I know she harasses me in my comments and pretends she's my fake friend on Facebook. I'm on to you, Chris. She thinks she's so smart. No, you're not. You're not smarter than me. Maybe you're smarter than a lot of other people because you are really advanced in certain ways. You're a really advanced criminal. I'll give you that. But you're not more advanced than me. And she hates that. She hates that. Oh, she hates that. I mean, I'm not a criminal. Okay, let's be clear. She's the criminal, not me. I'm a good person, you know. You can't be healthy. You can't have a healthy brain and be a criminal. Okay? There's something wrong with your brain if you're a criminal. And it's not just social. I mean, yeah, maybe temporarily you go through kind of a bad phase, but you know, when it's part of your personality and you know, etched in your like a hard part of your personality, and that's the way you operate and think, and uh, you know, it's part of your brain. It's not part of your social makeup. It's, you know, it's hardwired into your brain. So, I don't know what's going on with Putin and Trump and Putin. I just can't believe my people are putting it in their hands to discuss how. I mean, obviously, Putin is in another country. He's not talking about how to declassify me. They're there to talk about money. Trump wants my money. He wants Putin to work with him, not me. He wants Putin to give the money that's mine and only mine to him, not me. He just wants me to go into the garbage can, and he wants to replace me and be the king. You know, there's no king. Okay. It's queen. And I was born queen. And oh, yeah, I guess I need to get into this talking about my twin. My twin was not just, you know, that ex-boyfriend I mentioned earlier, you know, and she was a lot of different people. And one of them was Trump. That's my twin. If you want to know, I mean, the whole world sees how retarded he is, right? He's retard. He's retarded. I mean, you have to be retarded yourself to not see him as a retard. I mean, I don't know. I know that's an old-fashioned term and it's disrespectful to people who are mentally disabled. But, you know, what retarded means, mentally retarded, anything that's retarded is underdeveloped. That's it. It's, you know, he has parts of his brain that are underdeveloped, retarded. And that's the truth. I'm speaking the truth. And anyone that is not retarded can see it like across the universe. I mean, I mean, you just take one look at him and you know there's something wrong with him. Okay, he opens his mouth, you know there's something wrong with him. I know I open my mouth and maybe people don't like what I speak about. And maybe people who aren't privy to the information I'm privy to or have been privy to, or don't have an imagination to comprehend what I'm talking about. You know, maybe they judge me and think I'm that way. I don't know. I just know he and I are complete opposites. He's the reverse of me, and I'm the reverse of him. And that's my twin and me. We're reverse. We're the clear mirror twins. We were joined by one vertebrae on the back of our neck at one time until someone who was carrying us, it was a future SGI leader. She was younger. She was in her early 20s. She wasn't that young. Decided to get an abortion. I guess she's kind of a lesbian and she didn't want to have children, I guess. And she got pregnant and she decided to get an abortion. And she told me this herself, knowing who I was. But it wasn't until later that I was actually able to remember everything as an embryo. I can remember stuff in utero. Okay, I remember stuff. I remember being born. And I guess there are people, I've heard of it, but I hadn't understood that until I could remember everything myself of my own birth, being an embryo. I even remember before I became an embryo and the transitional time when I was Toda, kind of trying to be me. You know, I had some practice runs. I was once a kitty cat and I was killed, and then I came back, and then I was trying to be Toda wanted to be a kitty cat, and it was a blonde kitty cat, and I have a blonde kitty cat today, and I love blonde kitty cats, and I'm sure he did too. Our blonde kitty is Sandy, and I used to have one in the old days. Her name was Sweetie, and my roommates in 1994 knew Sweetie very well, and she had a tendency to gain weight, as does Sandy. And Sandy used to be really skinny and tiny when we got her, but she's now my biggest cat. She used to be small because she was the youngest. She was smaller than Sasha, and now Sasha is the small one. It's so funny. And they're about the same age, and it just took a few years, for her to she took years to become full grown. She didn't become full grown her first year. It took Sandy like several years to become this big, huge, long cat. She's bigger than my boy cat Wispy. She's probably related to Sweetie. I loved Sweetie. They look identical. She's very pale, tan blonde, I know I'm going off track. I'm being like Trump. But anyway, yeah, that was the kitty cat, the Tota. It was a blonde kitty. And I believe it was a blonde kitty. This is what I remember. This was what I actually remember for myself and in the memories. And I don't know if this is the case, but this is what I remember. It was the mother of my twin who had this blonde kitty, and she was a kitten, and it was a really cute little kitten, and she was moving, and the cat was running around, and she had left the house, and she came home one day and found this little kitten underneath something that fell on her. I'm thinking a paint can or something. The shelf had fallen, and all the paint cans or something had fallen, and it had flattened this little kitten. And that was me as Tota, who wanted to get more feminized before becoming me, right? Because he was a man and he wanted to be more feminine. He wanted to be a kitty cat first, and then he was going to be me. I know this is really far. This is wild for most people to hear. I know. And I remember waking up, after being killed off. Obviously somebody was in the God chair in Vega, and they had killed me off, and it was fake daddy. Okay, I had a daddy, that Clint Eastwood, right? He was real daddy. And then there was fake daddy, the guy who was born, the guy who was Clint Eastwood. Okay, daddy wanted, it's such a long story, but I'll tell it because I think it's an interesting story for today, because I don't have much else. Okay. Real daddy. Okay. Tota is my daddy. He really, let's just be clear. Real daddy is Tota. And real daddy, Tota, is not my genetic father. In his own body, Tota's body. He told me he wanted to be my daddy, but he couldn't be because he wanted me to be pretty. I don't know. Maybe some of you don't think I'm that pretty. I don't wear makeup, and I have a big, wide nose, and it's, I know I'm not perfect, but I guess Tota thought I was pretty. He knew how I was going to look like, and he thought I was really pretty, I guess. I know Larry Shaw thought that he could improve on my looks and created Vanessa, but Tota created me and chose every detail about me. And he thought I was so pretty. He didn't want me to be perfect because in Vega, perfection is not beauty. That's not beauty in Vega. They like a little more character. They like character. And that's why they love wrinkles and gray hair, because it gives you character, right? It tells your story, right? Your life story is on your face and on your body. That's why they just love, they're the reverse opposite of our culture. Where we want to look like little Barbie dolls, right? But in Vega, they love imperfection. I know Daddy, and I guess I'm really talking about Toda, but I associate Daddy with the body of Clint Eastwood because Daddy so much wanted to be my daddy because he was my daddy, but he wanted to be in the body that was my genetic father, and that's why he became Clint Eastwood. He died. Jose Toda died in 1958. Okay, he was old. He wasn't that old. He was 58 years old, younger than I am right now. And he was, he was a tall, skinny guy. He had gone through torture and jail, and his health wasn't the greatest. And I guess he died. I didn't really consider him. I mean, I've always kind of considered that he didn't die in 1958 because as my daddy, he showed up in his body or similar Japanese male bodies. He showed up in all kinds of bodies because he has the ability to do that. He was from Vega. He always was from Vega. So he could be inside other people's bodies. He could come to me in different forms. And he wanted me to be familiar with him being Japanese because that's what he was. And that's what we spoke. We spoke full native Japanese. That was my first language. And I spoke it before English because my own mother didn't speak to me in English. My mother only knew American English and she never talked to me. Okay. She was always passed out, drunk, high on drugs, whatever. and this was by design. Toda wanted to be my daddy, and he wanted to raise me by himself because he knew that was the only way. And I was his future existence. You have to understand that I'm his future incarnation. And so he wanted to raise his future. He wanted to raise himself, right? He wanted to teach me to be a woman like nobody on earth, right? Because women on earth were not empowered. And, they were being just a shell of what they could be. And he wanted, as a man, he knew that the woman he dreamt of being, as me, could only be raised by men, who she needed to identify with men without being a man. She needed to know what she was capable of doing, without being, but be but be the woman, the glorious woman she is. I don't feel like the glorious woman I am right now. I'm feeling really, really unhappy with my life right now. But I do feel glorious at times, and I do have a certain power and influence I don't see typical in women. There are women who have influence and power, but many of them are very masculine. Um, when they are that way, I feel like I have a really nice balance of being feminine and having a lot of power and tapping into my femininity, my female power, and it's a different kind of power. Male power is not the only power there is. Female power is actually, and this is what Toto thought, and thinks, it's much more powerful. Women are far more powerful than men. And I know men don't. And maybe that's their whole problem. They know it because they know the power women have over them. And they're just always trying to assert their power and retaliation, I guess. I mean, people like Trump and people, idiots like that. Idiot men, chauvinistic men. Oh. Oh. I guess Toto was trying to put on display a new kind of femininity. It's not dependent on me wearing makeup, I don't dye my hair or anything. This is my natural color. And I haven't gone gray yet, and I'm really grateful. I don't have to wear fancy clothes to be a woman. I'm a woman. And yeah, I'm not a prissy woman. Talk all soft and sweet, and I don't have all my makeup on. I don't look like a Barbie doll now. No. This is the kind of woman. I mean, I hope I've lived up to Toda's expectations. Maybe I haven't. Maybe he just thinks it was a failure. I don't know. Maybe he's thrown me away like everybody else. I mean, I don't think he legally can do anything. And he signed off when I was a baby. He told me that he needed to sign off on the legal, his legal rights as my father. I guess I don't know what he signed off on, but he had to sign off. He used that terminology when I was a baby, because if he didn't, he would never be able to. He said he didn't anticipate how deeply attached he would get to me. Of course you're going to get attached to your baby girl. Of course you are. And he thought he could handle it. You can understand. He thought he could handle it. And he knew it was him. He knew he had faith in himself and his determination. He was so determined to create Kozarufu ASAP. And he thought he could handle being his own father, the father of me, his future incarnation. He thought he could handle it. And he quickly found out he couldn't. That it was just too he got too attached to me. And in order for Kozarufu to be possible, he had to sign off. He had to let me go. It wasn't going to happen until a certain time. Obviously, it happened when I was 5. And it was planned. He planned it because he knew all about early childhood education and psychology and psychiatry, and he knew if he could just pump in as much information and love and adoration from age 0 to 5. I was 5.5 when he was removed from my life. Then I'd be okay. He knew it. He knew, and he was right. I've been okay. I have survived. He knew I would survive, and he knew he was going to give me all the tools I needed. He was going to just pump my brain, and he made sure I had the most brilliant brain he could create, that could be created. He gave me everything I needed, and then he was separated from my life when I was 5.5. And he operated through other people. He couldn't have any direct contact with me legally because he signed off. And he operated through Ross when I was a child. And as well as other people, but mainly Ross. And to this day, possibly. I mean, I'm sure. But, Ross was a young man back in the 70s and needed his close supervision. Nowadays, Ross is he's independent. Of course, he's a mature man himself who is just as deeply attached to me, and in a different way, but in similar ways too. And he can't have any legal he has to keep a legal separation from me too. And the only connection I have between both of them is they telepathically talk to me. I don't hear any voices, of course. Daddy told me that he made sure that, there are some psychic people who hear voices and see visions and things. No, not. He made sure I was not that kind of psychic, because being the psychiatrist he wanted to make sure that nobody mistook my psychic ability for being schizophrenic or something like that, So I don't see visions out here, I don't hear voices that, I intuit, in my mind's eye, I can see things and have visions in my mind's eye. I don't see it outside here. Not all psychics are like that. Some psychics see outside themselves. I don't see ghosts. People say they see ghosts. And yeah, I believe that is, Toto said that there were no such thing as ghosts. And it's true. It's true. There aren't. there is no homeless spirit. Like there are people who are homeless in our society, but spirits, living, I guess, life entities cannot function without a body. There's no such thing as a homeless life entity. You have to have a physical body to be. You need a house to live in, as I'm just using the word spirit. That's not a Buddhist term, but it's the term that most people can understand. So that's why I'm saying spirit. There are no homeless spirits. Heaven is not a spiritual realm. They talk about there are people who, astral projection and all this stuff, they travel, astral travel, whatever they call it, journeying, I don't know, shamanic stuff. Yes, that is possible, but the people who are doing it have a body. They're not some homeless spirit in the universe wandering around in realms, spiritual realms. Yes, there are spiritual realms, but everybody in those realms has a body somewhere, a home base. And in that way, yes, Toto was correct. There are no such thing as ghosts, but there are people in Vega who have fun with people on Earth, and they've got a body up in. It's like a computer game. Those are the computer games for them. They, like when people die, many times they're like in transition, and they get to be in a room, and they can interact with the earth as they're in transition. There's like, it's like an arcade, and you go in, and instead of it just being a computer game, you're actually on Earth, and it is like a computer game, but it is real. And you're going on Earth, you're haunting a house, you're doing this, whatever, whatever, whatever. And people who die can see things that they couldn't see in life. They can visit their relatives that way and observe and witness and understand what happened in their life. And I don't know, perhaps they can go into the future, they can go into the past. It's really, when you die, it's really fascinating. And not everybody has the same experience when they die. It kind of depends on your karma, what is possible with, depending on how you lived your life, because everything is about cause and effect. As a Nichiren Buddhist, we understand that. Just to be clear, Nichiren Buddhism is the truth. I mean, yeah, just like I say, the Buddhism is the truth on my YouTube channel. That is really what it is. And yeah, I know Nichiren Buddhists kind of they don't really put it together, they don't understand how Nichiren Buddhism fits in with everything else. Like, Nichiren Buddhists don't believe that when you die, you go to heaven or anything like that. They just believe you die and then, you reincarnate, and you're in coup. Sometimes you're in coup for a little time while you wait for the right situation to incarnate yourself. And I don't know what they think. Like, do you, I guess there is like this realm they talk about. Like if you have achieved enlightenment in this lifetime, you go to this heavenly realm of bliss or something like that. I don't remember what they call it. I'd have to look at all the terms, but there is that. And I have actually, when I've died, I've actually experienced that more than one time, and I haven't wanted to go back to my body. I'm like, I am so happy. I don't want to go back, but I'm always put back in my body. But there's a lot of pieces missing in the Nichiren Buddhism on Earth. And it actually is much more ancient than Nichiren Buddhism is on Earth. It's actually more ancient than Judaism or any other religion or philosophy on Earth. It's the most ancient of all philosophies, and it's God's philosophy. And Nichiren Buddhists don't believe in God officially. But there is, if you put together, Nichiren Buddhism was the original religion on Earth, and humans, the Judaism defiled it, because it wasn't Hebrew. They thought all this space language was not, everything had to be Hebrew or whatever, Aramaic, whatever language they spoke, and they threw away a lot of stuff. they used to chant and they threw it away. Oh, it's not in our language. Oh, garbage. That was the ignorance of the Jewish people. And then finally we had Christianity, which opened it up. And, it was your heart that you were God's people. It was your heart that determined whether you were God's people or not. It's no longer a race, and that's a better system, I think. And you put that together with Nichiren Buddhism, and Jesus was a Buddha, and actually he was me. I was 8 years old inside the body of Jesus. I know, wild, crazy, insane. No, but it's true. I was an 8-year-old girl from Old Greenwich, Connecticut. Hi, Dean. And Dean, are you okay? You blew the fuse, and I'm operating on batteries here and I thought I reset the breakers, but I don't think it worked. Whatever you did, you blew the electrical, and I unplugged it. If you plugged anything else in anywhere else on the other side of the floor up here, please unplug everything, because you screwed up our electrical, and I'm really hoping it's not permanently screwed up. I don't know if you want to work with the breakers to reset the whole. You might have to take the main switch and reset it, because I did this bedroom and it didn't reset. I'm operating on batteries. Okay, please be careful. Do not plug anything in. Unplug everything you plugged in. Okay. So anyway, yeah, Jesus was me. So, he was a Buddha though. And all that he taught, like, somebody hits you here, let him turn the other cheek, that's like a bodhisattva, right? And Mother Teresa personified that very well. And by the way, that was Ross, okay, in another body. I don't know, was it a disguise? Yeah, I think it was a disguise. I don't think it was actually another body. And I remember that picture, or that video of him talking to Lady Di, Princess Diana at that point, telling her about me and how bad my life turned out and all the suffering I had gone through, and she was really upset. And that was just before she died. I think she was probably about to do something to help me or help the cause. I don't know, expose something, and she got killed because of it. And I'm sorry that happened to her. I told them to tell her, because she thought I had a good life. She thought that I had gone on to have a good life in the United States. She's my genetic sister, and I knew her. I met her. I picked her as a wife for Charles because the Queen Elizabeth, my grandmother's sister, picked a woman that Camilla didn't like, and I guess she had. I didn't at the time. I was a child, and I was 13. Was I 13 yet? Yeah, I was in 7th grade. Yeah, I had turned 13. I didn't imagine that Camilla, I knew I was saying it wrong, was thinking of a threesome. I really had no idea that was what it was about. Because obviously she had a thing with Charles, and that was not going to stop when he got married. So I guess she was trying to pick a girl that they would like. And they sent for me in America to overrule the Queen's selection, because I had authority over Queen Elizabeth, and the Queen didn't like it, but she didn't have a say. She didn't have a choice. And I picked Lady Diana, who was my sister. And that's why, in those days Charles couldn't marry who he loved. And so that's why Camilla married another guy. So he would, marry who his mother wanted, but they weren't going to let the Queen select the girl. She had Diana in mind. And boy, did it go bad. That threesome didn't work out very well, did it? But yeah, as a child, I didn't have any idea that that's what it was. It was a sexual thing. I just thought, yeah, she's such a great woman. And yeah, we were really good friends for a moment. And then she saw me being a BUSCD, and then I never heard from her again. She promised to write me. She told me she was a really good pen pal. And she was gonna be the best pen pal I'd ever had. And then she saw me being a BUSED in front of all of them, and and I never heard from her again. And I know my mother was like, "What did you do?" My mother was so proud that I was all chummy with this Lady Di, and my mother was like, "What did you do? What did you say to her? What happened?" Because I wrote in my letter, "I'm sorry about what happened in the end," is what I said in my letter that I sent her. But I never got a response like she promised she would. She told me she would be my pen pal because that was her thing. Yeah, I was really sad about that because I really liked her. I loved her. Okay, I know I've gone way on this down this rabbit hole here. So what I'm trying to explain is that Nichiren Buddhism is actually is the most ancient religion philosophy in existence. But because the Jewish people and even Christians have rejected it, it had to be introduced at a later time, like reintroduced to humanity at another time in a country that didn't have anything going on like Japan, so that it was the only main. I mean, I guess it had some other things going on, but I guess it just blew them away so easily. And because of Japanese culture, everybody following the leader, it was just easier to grow it there. And it wasn't the most enlightened culture in the world, believe me. And I know Japan thinks they're so enlightened and advanced, and yes, they are in some ways. I mean, they're really great artists, and they're so tidy and neat, and there's such a the women are gorgeous. But it's not the most. It's actually a very there's a lot of corruption in the Japanese culture. It dates way back, and that's why Nichiren Buddhism is there to transform that corruption, turn that poison into medicine. It's not that it was such an enlightened environment that's why Nichiren Buddhism is there. No, it's not an enlightened culture at all. It's still, I mean, they don't even have Kozen Rufu there yet. I mean, I know Kozen Rufu on Earth is going to be a huge challenge, and this was Toda's determination. On Earth as it is in heaven. In Vega, there is Kozen Rufu. It is possible, and it is a reality in Vega. We have yet to achieve it here on Earth. It's Toda was born 125 years ago. He would have been the same age as this house that we are living in. My great-grandfather built this house in the same year that Toda was born, I guess in Japan. Yeah, and this house needs it. I have a little plaque on the front, Department of Empowerment. It needs empowering. It needs renovating, major renovating. And I'm looking forward to having some money so I can make this the most beautiful house on the block and one of the most beautiful houses in Hornell, New York. So I went into all of that, talking about Nichiren Buddhism and Jesus and putting, we're just trying to we're trying to put everything together for Kozen Rufu. I mean, that's the whole point here on Earth. And Toda was so determined. And, everybody who knew his plan, just like in Japan, how his plan was to shakabuku. That means introduce to Buddhism, Nichiren Buddhism, and get them practicing shakabuku. He wanted to successfully shakabuku 750,000 households in Japan before he died, right? And they just didn't think nobody thought it was possible, but he did it. Tota did it. And I think they surpassed that. A number of households way surpassed it. It might have been a million. I don't know when he died in 1958. But that was just the first stop on the way to Kosa Rufu. His next stop was here in America, being born as me. Okay. And everybody who, President Ikeda knew all about this. He kept it secret, of course, and others. And by the way, that was me when I was 8 years old too, by the way, President Ikeda. Yeah, that was me. I know that's really hard to believe because I'm so different. It's much easier to get things done when you're a man in this world, and a Japanese man at that. Oh my God, everybody worships you. You don't have to do anything, and they worship you. Everybody is at your service. It's so difficult to be a woman in this world and get anything done. I mean, women do, but they're usually the exception, and usually it's some man that's doing it to benefit themselves. They're like helping a woman. They're paving the way for a woman, so for their own interest or other, so that they don't, to cover up their involvement in something, or there's always some ulterior motive. No woman in this world ever accomplishes anything without some man making it possible, because they're in total domination still to this day. They don't want you to know this. That's why they let a few women through, so we don't think we have that issue anymore, but we do. It's the same thing. It's just covered up today. Yeah, they let a few women think they're in control, but they're not really in control. This is the way of our world, and it's disgusting. I just don't know why I'm here, and why. I mean, I was promised the world by Daddy. I was promised so much, and yeah, I know he did that so I would keep going and I wouldn't give up. Right? I had to know that it was going to be worth something, that it was going to accomplish something, that I was going to break through, and I was going to have this wonderful life, and I was going to be we're going to have Kosen Roof on Earth, and we're going to change the laws, and it was going to be heaven on earth. I mean, he hammered that in my head when I was a baby. Okay. And that's why it's in here. He did that. But here we are. It's hell on earth for me. I mean, maybe some people have their heaven thanks to my money, but I certainly don't. It's heaven for a lot of other people, except for me. And I'm waiting for my heaven, my cousin Rufo, because my cousin Rufo is everyone's cousin Rufo. Nobody's left out in my cousin Rufo. It's not exclusive to me. But so far it's been hell for me. I have little moments, my joy is what pulls me through. I have the joy that comes out of my own life and my own heart. I have my joyous moments, and that's what keeps me going. And you couldn't make it through hell like this otherwise. But yeah, it just seems like it's all a waste of time. It just seems like it's all been a waste of time. I don't see how we're any closer to Kosen Rufu than I was than we were when I was born. I think it's worse. Just like, it was really supposedly, by the way, Nichiren Daishonin, he was a fictional character. I mean, that was the only way, I guess, they could implant it in Japan, was creating this fictional character. It was Blythe Daishonin who wrote the writings of Nichiren Daishonin, created this man. It had to be a man. She was a Black woman, and that was me in my past life, and my past incarnations, my past lives. She was in the God chair, as they say. She was God of all of us, for like eternity. She's the God of I can't really say the Old Testament. She was Eve. She played that role. It was me when I was a kid and didn't understand I was not playing a video game that created the Old Testament. I was told it was not a video game. I was told, they put me in front of a computer. It was the 70s, okay? 70s, yeah. And they put me in front of a computer screen in Vega, and they told me that those were real lives. This was real life, and that I had to be careful because these were real lives that I was dealing with. It wasn't a game, and to be careful. And here you go. And then they just let me be by myself in a dark room doing what I thought seemed like a computer game to me. And as time went on, I'm like, they're just telling me this. These aren't real people. I can do what I want. In the game, I was God, and there were all these people, and I gave them diseases. I killed them all. I did all kinds of crazy things that are in the Old Testament. That was me. I was the God of the Old Testament because I couldn't control all these people. I just got really abusive because I thought it was a game, okay, and I was trying to get these people to do what I wanted them to do, and they wouldn't do it, and I was really pretty obsessive compulsive, wasn't I? Oh, the Jews, they have to put the tabernacle like this and fold it this way, this many parts of your finger, and this, I don't know what I did. Anyway, it's all in the old I was going to say old tabernacle. Old Testament. That was me not understanding that it was for real. I was just I was really nice at first, right? I was just trying, okay, these are real people, okay. But as I went on, I'm like, these people don't obey me. They don't do anything that I need them to do. And they're not real. This is a game. This is, they're just telling me that. And I went vicious, and I that was the God of the Old Testament was very abusive. And I apologize for, I've had to pay for that, I guess, in my life. I'm reaping the effects of all my bad causes, causing so many people to suffer in the Old Testament. And I'm sorry about that. I really thought they were pulling my leg. I really did think that. I really thought they didn't know. They were just telling me that it wasn't true. And that's why I was so abusive. Because they wouldn't do anything I told them to do. They wouldn't do anything. And I'm like, I'm God. Listen to me, okay? And yeah, I got abusive, and I'm sorry. I have suffered the consequences, believe me. Daddy was the God of the New Testament, a very different God. He told me he would take care of that for me. And I was, 8-year-old. I've told you all this. Okay. So Dean is sitting in here, so I don't need to go through all that. Okay. He knows all about it. I've talked to him about it. Right, Dean? I've told you all that stuff, right? Yeah. I have no secrets with Dean. I just don't like to talk about certain people that make him very upset. Right, Dean? There's certain people in my past that make you very upset, so I try not to bring them up when you're around, right?
Right.
Dean is very protective of me. He wants to, he gets so protective. He wants to kill everybody who abused me, He could be a serial killer if he didn't have the heart he has.
Being like a Navy SEAL.
Navy SEAL. Dean really admires those Navy SEALs.
Navy SEAL is the only person in service who was in boot camp for 9 goddamn months.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Well, I've been in boot camp for 59 years and counting. Okay, I've gotten more training than even the Navy SEALs. Okay, don't forget it. Okay, well, I know see, just like Trump, I guess it's this wiring, but hopefully you understand even though I'm talking about far out crazy stuff you've never heard about before, or, I mean, I'm not crazy. Okay. Trump is crazy. He is insane. I am not insane. Yes, I talk about far out crazy stuff, but I'm not far out and crazy. I'm just telling you top secret information. And the reason it's top secret is because nobody can, it's crazy. I mean, it sounds crazy because it is top secret, okay? Because that they keep it under wraps. They don't tell anyone. They keep reality. They keep control over people by monitoring reality, right? If everybody knew what was possible, if they knew all this stuff, I guess, I don't know, these people, I guess this is the way these people stay in control. They control our reality. So we don't know all these crazy far-fetched things, or I don't know. But I'm telling you the truth. This is reality that we're not allowed to know on Earth. Okay, it's top secret, and I'm the first one telling you about it. And I guess that's my mission. But I just don't know how much good that, I mean, I'm having that mission. You become a clown. You become an idiot. And I know my last name is Elliott, idiot. I used to, I noticed that was probably intentional. I know it was intentional because my daddy was Toda and he did stuff like that. The fool. I'm so tired of playing the fool, the idiot, the clown. I'm just so tired of it. And Trump, he is a clown and he is an idiot and he is a fool, but he doesn't know it. And that's a true clown. That's a true idiot. That is a true fool. Wouldn't you say? I at least know I'm playing this stupid role, and I'm just so. I made the best of it, but I'm not the idiot. I'm not the clown. I'm not the fool. I mean, I am playing that role, unfortunately, and have been for a very, very long time. But there's a difference between playing the role, being forced to play that role, and that's my situation, and being one. There is a very big difference. Trump is all those things because he's totally oblivious, right? And I'm sure some people have thought I'm totally oblivious. At times when I didn't know, when I was in total denial, I was oblivious about certain things that were happening to me. This is true. And I have been a fool, actually. I have been an idiot, actually. And I have been a fool. Actually, did I go through them all? Clown, I have been. Yes, when I was in total denial and wanted to believe my own reality because I couldn't handle the truth. Yes. But today, my eyes are open. I have healed. I have processed what has happened to me. I mean, I'm sure there will be new, I probably haven't processed every little bite of information. I mean, I mostly processed, there's always a little snippet here that might arise, and to fill in the little speck of gap that is in one part of my understanding of things. I don't know. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying that I'm done here. I'm just saying that I have reached a level where, I have healed myself, and I'm ready to go. And so I'm not actually a fool. I'm not actually an idiot. I'm not actually a clown, even though I play that role. And I'm forced to play it. Okay. I would not choose to play this role. It's the role Daddy made for me until the time when I would play my own, I would play the role I was born to play, I guess. Daddy's, it was part of the process of teaching humanity what the truth is and what it isn't. what enlightenment is and what it isn't. It's a very complicated thing to explain because it's enlightenment that we're trying to teach everybody. You know, Kozen Rufu, which is world peace, kind of rides on the people, right, and how what level, and there has to be a certain level of enlightenment in the people to achieve Kozen Rufu. 1/3 people chanting, 1/3 people not chanting but supportive, and 1/3 people being neutral. That is minimum. You can take it from there. That's Vega. And there are many religions in Vega, all religions, all races, all religions. There's not one religion because there's enlightenment in all religions. But everybody acknowledges the place of Nichiren Buddhism, which are the original religion. And, of course, in Vega, they want everyone to be comfortable and practice or believe what they grew up in or what they're most comfortable, see it the way they, everybody has a different perspective, a different way of thinking. And not everybody's the same. We wouldn't want everyone to be the same. It would be so boring if everybody was exactly the same. There's not one right way of doing things, but I'm just telling you that Nichiren Buddhism is the center of all religion, all philosophical thought. It's the truth. It governs the truth. And whatever perspective you want to take with the truth is fine, as long as you acknowledge that the epicenter is, in Vega, I'm talking about. All right, what are you doing, Dean? He's walking in front of my light. Okay. Were you able to reset the breakers or anything, or what happened? Did you blow out our house, our upstairs?
I doubt it.
You doubt it. Did you try doing the breakers, Dean?
I'll try it again. Watch out.
See, this is what I didn't want. That's why I didn't want you to play with cords and connect them together and plug them in. Do you understand now, Dean? Dean, do you understand?
Please.
Dean, listen to me. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yeah.
That's why I didn't want you to do this.
Okay.
I don't know what Dean did up here. We don't have any power up here now on our second floor. We have separate our electricity. It used to be a two-family residence. It was a duplex, and people lived upstairs in the old days when this house was first built. I think my grandparents and great-grandparents and grandfather lived downstairs, and my great-grandfather built this house, so they had tenants upstairs or something. And there's a separate electric, separate boxes. And whatever Dean did, he blew out our electric upstairs. It was fine. And I really hope it's not serious. It was really nice having electricity up here, and now, it was really nice. And I don't know what that means. Like, what could have been damaged by him plugging in some cords? I don't know what he was doing. He was trying to do something. He's just not thinking properly anymore. He used to be the handyman and everything, but he's not thinking properly. Okay, so back to Putin and Trump. I went down a long rabbit hole there. I was going into all of that. I was talking about Toda and everything. Because, Toda planned this. It's on Toda, I know, everything. But he locked himself out, intentionally, because he wanted Kozen Rufu on Earth as soon as possible. He wanted it ASAP. He wanted us to achieve it in as little time as possible, so people don't have to suffer anymore. That's Daddy's heart. And it's my heart too, but I've taken on a lot of that suffering and I just can't do it anymore, you know. I've reached my limit. I feel like I have. I mean, I guess I could just go to bed for the rest of my life and I don't know, die when it's not a natural death. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing here is what I'm saying. I don't know what Daddy planned. He didn't really tell me specifics. He just promised me a whole lot and it hasn't happened and I don't see it happening. I mean, putting everything in the hands of Putin and Trump. I mean, my money, I know Putin has really protected my interests and has protected my money and I really truly appreciate that. He's old school. He considers me his, you know, us his comrades, even if the world thinks he's evil and conniving and I hate what he's done to Ukraine and I'm on the side of Ukraine and always will be. Ukraine is me. And that's why he's doing it to portray what my country, what the US is, you know, the government is doing to me, Ukraine, trying to take my land, my money, my assets. No, it's mine. Okay, get off, get away, you know, remove yourself from my assets are mine. You know, should I go to your bank and take your assets? I mean, you know, I mean, you wouldn't authorize that. Your money is your money. You wouldn't let somebody else like take it. You wouldn't let the government take your money, would you? Can I go down to the bank and get your money, please? I need some. Can I have some? Can I pay my family? Can I pay all my relatives, please, with your money? Or if you have enough, I don't know. Maybe you don't have much, so I just get to pay myself from your money. Can I do that, please? No, in the United States of America and on Earth, you know, we have property. In Vega, they don't. Okay, it's different in Vega. Everything is not. There's no money in Vega. Yeah, you would think, oh, that's utopia. No, it's not like that either. It's kind of interesting. I don't know how it works, but you know, Elon Musk was talking about how AI will make life free for us. And that's probably how it's possible in Vega, you know, AI up in Vega. It's been there the whole time running the show. And they use my brain. My brain runs it. The AI uses my brain. I know that sounds so weird. It's my brain that's running this reality. So I guess I have a place somewhere. I mean, if it's my brain, right? I mean, when the hell does Claire show up? I don't know. We're in a computer program. Yes, that's what we are. And we've gotten to another level of the program, haven't we, recently with AI? And yeah, there will be heaven on earth pretty soon if with AI, you know, if we get to the point where everything's free, we don't have to work because everything's free. We have robots doing everything and taking care of everything so we can live. And everything's free for us humans. I mean, great. And then, but Elon was talking about how then people, you know, what's the purpose of life for people? That's like the question, like what will be the meaning of life after, you know, if nobody has a job or anything, what would be the purpose of life? And that'll be the new question, the new situation. Yeah. And that's where we're about to head into. That's what we're about to head into. And I guess that's my world, right? I guess. Waiting to see. But yeah, in Vega, they don't have money. Everything's free. Everybody's in a competition to help more people than the next guy, you know. Like I was talking about with internet marketing, you know, it's this whole thing about, oh, who can deliver the most value for the money? You know, oh, we're going to over deliver. We're going to give you all these bonuses and we're going to just over deliver. That's a vacant concept. And you never used to see that in the old days. I love seeing that. That's Vega. That's Vega. Like they have competitions to see who can, you know, like they want to see how many people they can help, how many, oh, you know, that's their competition. It's not about who can make more money, who can, you know, who can amass the most material wealth. It's not like that in Vegas. It's because they have no money. It's who can help the most people, who can benefit society the most. That's the competition. And I see it happening here, actually. I see that culture seeping into ours. You notice that? You notice there's that billionaire mentality. The billionaires, they like get like that a little bit on Earth. It's Vega. Mhm. And vegans are like multi-zillionaires, because they're above money. They can create anything they want. I mean, they can have anything they want. They can print money if they want. They can do anything. Everything's possible in Vega. It's a miracle place. It is heaven, in that way. Dean is I hear him doing the switching on and off. Let's see, hopefully. Yay, you did it, Dean. Yeah. Thank you. Leave it alone. You did it. Our electric is back. Okay. So I can put on a little light. Okay, don't do any more. Just leave it alone. Oh, I'm so relieved. I reset the switch that said bed, I think it said bedroom. There's only one bedroom. There's master bedroom, and then there's bedroom. I mean, the master bedroom is unfinished. It's an open space up here. We can't come up here in the winter because it's not insulated up here. It's not even finished on the other side of the floor. But this room, it used to be a little girl's room. As you can see, her name was Lillian. Her name is up here. And I think he was trying to get the guy, the former owner, who we did not buy this house from, the guy who did all the work on this house. I think he was trying to get custody of his daughter. He had a girlfriend who didn't have the same last name as him, and she did a lot of the design, I think, but not of this room necessarily, but in the house downstairs. I think maybe the design came in when they were trying to sell the house, because I don't think he got, I think the Child Protective Services, or whatever it's called here in New York State, hi Lily, didn't approve this house for his daughter. He had, his daughter, when you're trying to get custody and they look at the residence, the child has to have their own room and everything. And he made, this is the only room that's finished up here on the second floor. This used to be the kitchen. It's got cabinets. They don't look like kitchen cabinets exactly, but they're old fashioned, like 1900 kitchen cabinets, maybe. But yeah, this was the kitchen up here, the upstairs kitchen. Maybe it wasn't just a room, this small room. It might have been bigger too. Huh?
The paint on the wall.
Yeah, I know. They can see it in the background. They can see the pink. A little girl's room. Yeah, I didn't decorate this room. It was a little girl's room, and I just think it's perfect. This girl can. Okay, this is the girl that can. This is, the CIA has never really allowed women. There's never been a woman president for a reason. It's not just by accident. It's by design. It's just the same as it is. They run them. They still operate according to old world law. It's no different than it used to be. They just want us to think it's different. Just like Britain wanted to think that they didn't get America back, and in the War of 1812, and they kept it secret. It was the same kind of idea. They kept it secret, and all this time we've been British colonies this whole time, and that's why I had to be born to have authority over the queen or the monarch in England. It wouldn't matter if she was a female or a male. I'd have authority over her, and that's how we got our country back with my birth in 1965. Now, my grandma also had authority over the queen, but she just had the authority over her younger sister. I have authority over many different bloodlines. It became really official with me. But it was planned carefully. It didn't just start with my generation, it was planned generations before me. But here I am sitting here wondering when the hell my time is going to happen for me, still trying to figure out like how we're going to eat. I mean, okay, how are we going to eat this weekend? I guess what we can do, because I have my rice and beans, and I mixed up this time I experimented with mixing up the lentils with the white rice, and it didn't, I mean, with when you do that, it usually turns out well, but with lentils, they kind of dissolve. They're smaller, thinner beans, and they dissolve, and it just is not as, it tastes good, but I like to keep them separate because it just is more appetizing and it's more visually pleasing. With other beans, you can get away with mixing, I learned to mix up the rice and beans from my ex-husband who grew up Latino from the Dominican Republic. And, he was the one that introduced me to rice and beans, honestly. I have a lot of things he taught. He introduced me to avocados. My mother loved avocados when I was growing up, but I never wanted to taste them, but it was my ex-husband who got me to taste them. And now avocados are my favorite vegetable, thanks to him. And platanos, I learned how to say platanos before I ever called them plantains. I don't make them very often, but yeah, I learned how to make them from him. And I learned a lot of things from my ex-husband. He was the cook because, he was from the Latino culture and they liked to cook a certain way, and so I went into all of this because I just can't believe my people are putting my future, my declassification, my money in the hands of Putin and Trump. I really hope Putin, I know Putin has been very faithful to me, he's been, even though he's been horrible to Ukraine, and I'm very sorry for Ukraine, and I'm going to make it up to Ukraine somehow, some way, when I can, when I have my money, because the Ukrainian people have been through so much, and I'm so sorry for what they had to go through, all because nobody can speak freely. And I guess I don't know why it had to be that way. And I probably had some hand in approving it when I was a child. And I apologize to the Ukrainian people for approving what Putin has done to demonstrate. He's actively demonstrating what what my country, the United States of America, is doing to me. And I want him to stop doing that. But because we got the message. Okay, we get it. Okay, so U.S. government, give Claire all her assets back. Give her all her money. Give her back everything that you have illegally stolen from her. Okay, and I'm speaking about me like in the third person here. I am Claire Elisabeth Elliott. Give me back all my assets, all my belongings, everything. Oh, and by the way, I haven't been playing this. I had put this all together. There it is. Let's show that. And let's put this ticker on. Show it. Yeah. Yeah. I forgot that. I don't know why I forgot that. I was just really depressed today. Just totally forgot. Yeah, I made sure, just like when the reason I can't chant is because the universe, when I chant, it's like a computer program, and hey, Dean, what are you doing? Can you please not do that while I'm in here doing this? Is there something else you can do? And then maybe when I'm done, you can do that. Do you need that right now?
No.
All right. I appreciate it. I want you to be sensitive that I'm live. Okay. And I'm not going to be on much longer. I'm going to conclude shortly. I promise everybody. Are you okay, Dean?
Yep.
Where are you going now?
Out here.
Okay. I'm hungry, Dean. So we're going to do something. We're going to figure something out. Okay. Are you hungry?
Yep.
You haven't eaten. I tried to get you to eat today and you haven't eaten. Why haven't you wanted to eat today, Dean? Dean?
Oh.
You're depressed about our situation? Well, Dean, if you can go down in the refrigerator, we have our rice and lentils, and you can heat some up. Put a little oil, salt and pepper. Okay? Can you do that? All right, so you can fill your belly a little bit. Okay, can you do that? Okay, all right. Yeah, my stomach is growling. I had a little bit of the lentils and rice, and look, nobody is watching at all. Wow. I'm thinking that maybe it was me that was watching before because I had something open or something. Maybe nobody ever watched me. Oh, there's that Claire again. Oh, that Claire. Oh, crazy Claire. Is that what you're all saying? Or my Facebook friends, I think of the people I grew up with. They're all on Facebook and they just think, maybe they, I know that there's a secret thing going on with all of them. And I'm the only one not in on it. I know that. I know they put together something and they're all silent. They're like a wall of silence for a reason. It's not because they're in on it. They've been told the truth. They know my true story, but they just can't tell me that they know, right? Right. I know this. I know this is the case. I know it is. It's not like I have no audience. It's just they have to make it look like I have no audience. They can't make it look like I have any audience, right? Yeah, so I just can't believe that everything is in the hands of Putin and Trump. I know Putin is not going to allow Trump to take all my money. At least that, right? At least Putin, we can count on Putin for that. He's vicious and horrible in other ways, but at least he just as fiercely protects my money. And I appreciate that. That is an honor, and I appreciate that much. Would never be able to trust Trump in that way ever. It's pretty sad that a so-called enemy of our country is more trustworthy than our own president. Pretty sad situation. Curious to know what comes of it. Their meeting, their summit, whatever it is. Are they still meeting? I guess I can peek and see. I have it muted. Let me just peek really quick before I go. Okay, what's going on? Underway. It's still underway. Trump says, I'm not going to be happy if Putin does not agree to a Ukraine ceasefire during today's summit. Good. Yeah, I think the beginning is a ceasefire. But you're not going to let Putin keep all of Ukraine's land. Maybe it can be discussed over time, but Putin is going to give back every inch of Ukraine's land. And there's got to be some other consequences too. You can't just invade a country and take what you want. You can't do that. And, Putin has to know that Europe is not comfortable with, Ukraine has to be part of NATO. Sorry, Nobody wants to take over Russia. The problem is Russia wants to take over former members of the USSR, okay, that are not Russia. Russia was one of the countries in the United Soviet, what was it, USSR? Republic? What is Soviet? Socialist Republic. Thank you, Dean. Yeah. They were countries united, like the United States is a bunch of states united. It was similar. And, we can't have New York take over New Hampshire. You know what I'm saying? You can't take land on the border of Canada. I mean, you know what I'm saying? You can't do that. If you say it's okay, all right, we'll just let Putin keep what he got. No, that's this. And then Putin will say, okay, or some other country, maybe not Putin. Okay, in a couple years, okay, well, we want this land in this country, so let's invade and we'll see what we can get. You gotta have boundaries. You gotta have guidelines. You gotta have laws. You gotta have rules. Come on. And Trump is just so eager to like take credit for the end of the war, so he wants his Nobel Peace Prize. He has not acted like any kind of peacemaker that I've ever known. It's just ridiculous. If you want a true peacemaker doesn't want a prize, doesn't want accolades and awards and titles and things. Not a true peacemaker. And it's not Trump that's creating the peace, He's just trying to make a deal. He's trying to get some money out of Putin, and he's angry Putin won't give it to him. Give me Claire's money. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. No, you're not Claire. You're not Queen Donald Trump. He's trying to be queen. He's not going to give it to Donald. He vowed to protect it, and he's going to continue to protect it. But okay, you want a ceasefire? Maybe he'll give him that, and I hope he does, because the Ukraine has been through so much, and I've been through so much. Right? I need a ceasefire. I need everyone to stop attacking me and stop torturing me, and I need some money. Just like Ukraine needs to rebuild, needs support, after all the damage done, just like Ukraine, I'm picking up the pieces. And then I get, just when I picked up a few, another bomb blows up on my head, it's like, it's got to stop. It's, enough already. So I do think that Putin is going to agree to a ceasefire, but there's a lot of other things to discuss. I think that Putin wants to talk to me. He wants to give me my money. If my government would only allow him to do so. He's not going to give it to the U.S. government, because there was a reason we gave it to him and not the U.S. government, because the way our government is, look at Trump. That would be a disaster if all that money was in his hands. It's bad enough that he has the money he does already have in his hands. It's bad enough. Can you imagine if he had all my money, or the big chunk of change that Putin has? I don't know. I don't know. I guess, I don't know. I really don't know how it's all organized. I know I approved everything, but I think that, Putin is one of the managers of my money, and it's all, this money laundering thing goes through Russia, and Russia is one of the managers of my money. It's mine. It's all mine. And he reveres me and my money, and knows it's not his, and doesn't pretend it's his. He would never do such a thing. He has integrity that Trump would never comprehend to have, Yeah, we are hungry, aren't we? Dean and I are hungry. Dean is hungry. I'm hungry. Although I did have a little bit of lentils and rice earlier. Unlike Dean, I wanted to prepare some for Dean, and he didn't want it. He said he wasn't hungry. Is it true you weren't hungry earlier, Dean?
No.
You weren't hungry. Was it because you didn't want to eat lentils and rice? It's tasty, right? It's tasty. It wasn't that you didn't want to eat my cooking. The lentils and rice. It was that you just weren't hungry earlier, and now you're hungry.
Right.
Mm. Dean has lost a lot of weight. I'm very concerned. He's very slim. He's eating healthier, but he's eating less. He's used to stuffing his face with junk food. And because we haven't had as much money, he's not stuffing his face with junk food anymore, and he's lost a lot of weight. I haven't lost hardly any, because I never ate that much to begin with. I've got to issue with weight, and it's hard to break it. I don't eat a lot. I have lost a little, though. I guess you can see I have lost a little, but it's not like Dean. Dean lost so much. He's so thin. Um, he's not too thin, but he really shouldn't be losing any more weight. He's the thinnest I might have ever seen him. And he's getting older, so he's not as muscular as he used to be either. So, yeah. All right, Dean, you ready? Should we're gonna, I don't know that we'll have an ice cream. We'll probably just get a low-cost snack. We got to go out one more time. I think it's probably better we not get an ice cream cone, Dean. I think it's probably better we go. Do you want to go to Taco Bell? Yeah, that's a little more substantial. Not too over the top expensive.
So all the words in this piece over here, it always resets. Okay.
I appreciate it, Dean. I'm glad you were able to reset it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear my stomach growling. Wasn't even able to have coffee today because we didn't buy any milk or cream, and I don't like it without cream or milk. And we don't have any of the tea I was making for Dean because he can't drink his coffee without sugar. See, I've learned to not put sugar in my coffee now. I mean, sweetener. I used to use stevia, but I've taught myself not to even put stevia in my coffee because even though it's not sugar and it's not affecting my blood sugar, I've heard that even stevia, anything sweet, your body, your brain might interpret it as it makes you gain weight. You know, anything sweet triggers something in your brain that causes you to gain weight. I mean, it's hard to believe. I mean, it does not affect your blood sugar. You know, it's non-caloric, it's very low in calories, and still you gain weight from it. So I have taught I mean, it seems unbelievable to me because I thought I had my solution in stevia. And, you know, there's chemicals, you know, the chemical ones that I don't like to use, but but I needed sweetness in my coffee. And if I have nothing else, I have, you know, I'd use the yellow packets. What is it called? Whatever the yellow packets are.
Right.
Not good for you. So I'm really glad that I've trained myself to not need sweetness in my coffee. I did that a few months ago, and I think it's good. And now I just need some cream or milk in my coffee and I'm good. Put a little cinnamon. I think it has helped me lose a little weight, just a little. All right, Dean. I guess what we'll do is go to Taco Bell. I don't know that Taco Bell is that much cheaper. It's a little cheaper than going to a restaurant. It's a little pricier than Burger King, but I don't know, Burger King, we just need to do one more thing, okay? And then we're gonna get cat food because the cats are now out of food. We might have to get a small thing of dog food and then maybe a couple food items, and I don't know that we'll have money for anything else. And then we have to go to the food bank on Monday, first thing. They're already closed for today, and they're closed over the weekend. It's Monday through Friday.
Right.
So we're going to have to make it through this weekend.
What time?
I do have $7 on my Apple card. So that's $7. Okay. In addition to the $50 we have available if we're going to fix our car. It would be really good to get that car fixed so I don't have to worry about, you know, I don't know. The mayor told me the end of August would be fine. Deputy mayor, if we could just push it. Well, see, I don't want to let her down. I already moved our bus. You know, we were able to do that for free because we have a roadside plan with our bus, a really good one. We were able to tow that for free. before we got paid, before Dean got paid, and we got it off. It's on our property now. But yeah, getting that mirror replaced that somebody messed up on our truck when we first moved here, that has been a challenge. We did find it for $17.99 at the junkyard, but it's going to cost $120 for them to put it on, to install it. It's the whole mirror assembly, and it's in good shape. It's from a 2010. Our truck is a 2011. It's an exact match, and we have to pay for a reinspection, because we wouldn't have had to repay $21 had we returned within 30 days, but because we didn't have the money to return back until now, it's been like months. We have to repay $21 to have our car inspected, and it'll pass. She has to remove the tent from our windows, because our truck is from Florida. Both our truck and our bus are from Florida, it just so happens. But there's a lot of tenting on our windows that she has to remove because it's not legal in New York State. And I don't think she'll charge for that, she said. And then we'll be good to go.
So that'll be.
And then we won't have any money, but at least the truck will be done, and the deputy mayor will be happy.
Get all anything off the windshield. That way, when you're driving in the right daylight, you're not being blinded by just.
I know tinting is good, but we have too much tinting. I think the side windows the tent has to come off the side. I think the windshield's fine because it's just tint on the top, but the side windows, the passenger and driver's side, are too dark for New York State. She has to take the tinting off those windows. All right. Thank you for watching. Please feel free to subscribe if you don't want to miss any of my content. I know it's so exciting, this content. It is. You learn stuff every day when you watch Claire. All right. Give me a thumbs up. I deserve it. And see you next time.